future is ours. If you can count.
Come on, Cyrus, we're with you. Go ahead, bro.
Now look what we have here before us. We've got the Saracens sitting next to the Jones Street Boys. We've got the Moon Runners right by the Van Cortlandt Rangers. Nobody is wasting nobody. That is a miracle. And miracles is the way things ought to be.
I heard that. Check it out, sir. Woo!
You're standing right now with 9 delegates from 100 gangs. And there's over 100 more. That's 20,000 hardcore members. 40,000 counting affiliates. And 20,000 more not organized, but ready to fight. 60,000 soldiers. Now there ain't but 20,000 police in the whole town. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Here's the sum total. One gang could run this city. One gang. Nothing would move without us allowing it to happen. We can tax the crime syndicates, the police, because we got the streets, suckers. Can you dig it? The problem in the past has been the man turning us against one another. We have been unable to see the truth because we have been fighting for 10 square feet of ground. Our turf. Our little piece of turf. That's crap, brothers. The turf is ours by right because it's our turn. All we have to do is keep up the general truce. We take over one borough at a time. Secure our territory. Secure our turf. Because it's all our turf.
All right, folks, that's about as good as it gets right there. And the story of today's live stream is, can you dig it? Because I want you all to understand something. When we first started Real Progressives, we were getting millions of hits a month, every month, because the algorithms hadn't been screwed up yet. And because everybody hadn't started shit talking each other, and because everybody hadn't started dividing off in their own little worlds, and because everybody wasn't suspicious of each other, and because everybody wasn't sitting there acting like they were defending their little piece of turf, their little party turf, their little soiree. They had the Van Cortlandt Rangers sitting there with the Real Progressives, and the Real Progressives sitting there with the, you know, you name it. But here we are today. We got a real gangbanging situation here. We got a real player in the game in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I don't care if she's a Democrat. I don't care if she's a Green. I don't care if she's an independent. I don't care if she's transsexual. And I most definitely don't care if she's white, black, brown, or Asian. She's one of our tribe. And more importantly, what she's pushing forward is what we claimed to want back in 2015 and 2016, and even before that during Occupy. I don't see it coming from anywhere else. So right now, she's behaving as our Cyrus. Is it a fair comparison? I don't care. I'm telling you, when you say that you want a New Deal, when you tell me you want Medicare for all, when you tell me you want green energy, when you tell me you want a job guarantee, when you tell me you want to stave off cataclysmic climate events, you got to have someone with the ability to advance that ball. And let me assure you, a little bit of partisan anger, it ain't going to solve this problem, friends. It's going to take all of us coming down. It's going to take all of us coming down and uniting to do that. And it doesn't have anything to do whether you believe in the Democrats or not. It doesn't have anything to do whether or not you like the Democrats. And it has even less to do with whether you like me or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or anybody else. It has to do with, can you count suckas? You're not talking about Dem entering. You're not talking about Green entering. You're not talking about building movement for a people's party. You're talking about, can you dig it? Can you count suckas? I can count. And you know what the first number that comes to mind is? It's a number I'm going to keep repeating. 12 years. That's the first number we're going to count to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 years. We've been trying for a third party for a long time. Multiple efforts at a third party. And we're going to continue fighting for a third party, right? But even if you are a third party, guess what? You've still got to get the duopoly to do some work for you, don't you? You're not governing your own little nation off in progressive land. You've got to govern the whole fucking nation. And that means you've got to work with Republicans too, as grotesque as that might be to you. Can you count suckas? The flavor of tonight's stream is all about, can you count? 50 states, 2 senators per state, 535 Congress critters, 50 governors. Can you count? And that's not including territories. You start doing the math and you realize it takes an awful lot. So you better learn how to work in a coalition. Am I right? Can you dig it? Can you dig it? You got to learn to build coalitions. And it can't just be your favorite friends. You're going to need to learn to work with people you don't like. It's going to shock some people that they've got to learn to work with people they don't like. Your decision, whether you like them or not, is irrelevant. You got to work with them. So when you look at all those numbers and you look at 12 years and you realize worse than ever that the United States has laws in place that absolutely codify into law the first past the post mindset. You've got to do something outside that duopoly. And it may or may not result in a third party. It may just be a movement, which is what I've been screaming about for as long as I've had a mic in my hand or in my face. It's got to be a movement. If you've got a first past the post codified legal system structured around your electoral politics, a codified duopoly, that means you're dependent on that duopoly to give up its power, to give you power. Or you need to supplant one of the duopoly somehow or another. And since we don't have another 40 years to work with right now, we got to build a movement. Again, I'm not telling you to stop. You do what you do. You do you. You be all you can be. But in the meantime, we got to save people you don't like too. 12 years. Can you count? "12 years is the most important number you're going to ever put into your brain. Because it's not a matter of whether the Democrats can be trusted or not. I don't even give a shit. I'm so tired of hearing that bullshit. I don't care. I don't fucking care. What I care about is the people uniting. Instead of fighting over their own little 10-foot piece of turf. I'm talking about governing the nation. Grown-up shit. Because we've got a climate crisis that we can't wiggle out of. We keep kicking the can, and now the can's done kicked us. We got 12 years. Now, it takes numbers, it takes people, and it takes people beyond just the sweet spot of progressives. It's going to require some Republicans getting on board too, which means you need to speak some Republican lingo to make this shit matter to them. Republicans like jobs. They love jobs. And there's good reason for loving jobs. Because when you don't have one, it fucking sucks your life away. And right now, like no other time in history, we need to employ every American for the public purpose, which is green energy, climate change, you name it. We need a federal job guarantee yesterday, and it's not going to happen without everybody mentally focused and digging it and digging it and digging it together. And you're not going to advance a Green New Deal if you're sweating how the hell you're going to pay for it. So that's where the modern monetary theory portion of this comes in. Because you can't even envision doing what we need to do without understanding how the power of the purse works. But that means all this tribal bullshit, all this party first logic. Do you understand? Whoever gets elected gets elected. You have only but one vote you can cast and hope it gets counted. But even if every election in America is rigged, even if every one of them is flipped at the box, even if they give you the Democrat of their handpicked choosing or the Republican of their handpicked choosing, whatever it is, when the people unite, for real unite, and not just people gather, nothing worse than parties people gathering. I'm talking about with a purpose. And it can't just be to build a party. It's got to be to understand that you're overthrowing something. Since you can't right now overthrow the party structure, what you can do is overthrow the lies of neoliberalism so that we can achieve a Green New Deal. That's what you can do. And folks, I'm telling you right now, people calling Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez the Messiah, our Messiah, not being a pat on the back, but like a real dismissive snark. I have not seen anybody that's been able to do what she's done in such a short period of time. Does that mean the establishment's helping her? I don't know. I don't care. Because now all of a sudden, for once, people are listening to green energy. They're listening to climate change. They're listening to mass mobilization. They're listening to the need that we have to do it now. So it doesn't matter whether you've been thinking about it for a long time. It's not you probably that I'm talking about. It's the other people that have not done it, that have dragged their feet, that have not been a part of this, that have not been interested in hearing about it either. Those people. And folks, I said this in last night's live stream. I'm going to say it again tonight. There are a lot of people out there, once we leave our little bubble, that not only don't have a clue what a Green New Deal is, have never even heard of the Green Party or any other movement for a People's Party or anything else, but they also haven't heard of modern monetary theory. Think about that for a minute. If you think people are going to rally for a life-saving, world-changing Green New Deal without understanding that the nation can't go broke, let me tell you, the reason why we've never done it before is because the people never united, because they always thought the nation was broke. They always thought we had to reduce the debt and reduce the deficit, so they wouldn't do anything. I kid you not. I watched that movie, The Warriors. And I remember everybody chasing the Warriors throughout New York City. And I watched as they worked as a team and they found their way bouncing through. But at the end, they called off the dogs. They found the right bad guys and they took care of business. We have to go after the right bad guys. And we have to focus on the right solutions. Not just wanton all over the place, but the right solutions. The Green Party knows that a Green New Deal is necessary if their only focus is shaking up the system so that they can have electoral power. We all lose. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure they want that. But right here, 12 years, we're counting again. We got to focus on being Americans and being humans and saving ourselves from the destruction of our past sins. I'm sure Movement for a People's Party would like to peel away disenchanted Democratic voters. And I'm not here to stand in their way from doing it. But I am here to say that if you're an MPPer, you're going to need to govern by a coalition. And this Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez New Deal, Green New Deal with the Sunrise Movement is something that your platform almost step by step supports. Support when you agree, freaking fight against when you don't. This whole thing, nobody's asking you to dem enter. Do you understand? You don't have a single representative in Congress, not one, not even a half of one. But we have one or two or three champions that are really advancing the ball here. And they're led by MMT economists. Don't tell me about your disdain for the Democrats. I've got the same disdain. I've seen what they've done. I can't stand what they've done. This is not a dissertation on what the Democrats have done. The boll weevils, these freaking Dixiecrats, these freaking liars that kiss you on one moment and then backstab you the next. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about 12 years. And I'm talking about the people when they understand, when they see a movement growing. People get on that train. They want to be on that train. It's up to us to bring new passengers along on the economic train, on the environmental train, on the job guarantee train, on the Green New Deal train. Because when the corporate Democrats and the Republicans and so forth do what they do, and they'll do it because that's what they do. It's like telling a shark not to eat a seal. They're going to do what they're going to do. They do what they do. It requires all the progressives wherever they've planted themselves to rise up together as progressives, one voice, and push back with or without electoral power. I don't want to hear any more shit about, well, we don't have a Congress and we don't have a Senate. We don't have the presidency. We don't have the Federal Reserve. We don't have this. We don't have that. We have each other. And if you can count, you understand that we outnumber them big time if we act like we know how to count. And we start sticking together like molecules that attract one another, progressive molecules, and create this structure, this being, this movement that fights for the things we've said we believe in, regardless of what party we're in. I'm telling you, if you can count, you understand that 0.8% doesn't make a revolution. No electoral votes doesn't make for a revolution. You need help inside and out right now, regardless. We need to find a way to make that work for us, one way or the other. It's time. I mean, there is no time to dick around. There's no time. No time at all. You got 12 years, folks. We all have 12 years, and that doesn't mean to come up with a solution. That means to already mitigate the carbon footprint. Or we're all fucked. So here's how I know when people really don't care about the environment. When they don't really believe that we have climate change and they're just as bad as the Republicans they supposedly despise. When they act like we've got time to screw around, that's when I know they really don't believe the environment's in trouble, that we're in trouble. That's when I know they don't really care. That's when I know they're a fraud. It won't matter what party you're in if we're dead, right? I mean, seriously, let's be real. Maybe they have parties in heaven and hell. I don't know. Maybe there's another party in purgatory. Wherever you go, Gehenna, I don't care. The river Styx, maybe it's got a bunch of layers of parties in hell. But right now, we got a shot and we got 12 years to make this shit happen. And who knows what can happen once we demonstrate that we can bring the productive capacity of this nation to full tilt to survive. Put that in your freaking bong and pop the shotgun. Let that one ride and think about it. If we don't act now, there is no tomorrow. I don't know how I can say it any better than this. I'm sure there's somebody else out there far more eloquent, Maybe they look a color or a race or a sex, a gender that you feel more comfortable hearing. Listen to them. I don't care. Maybe they wear their party colors more boldly and it allows you to hear them. Whoever it is, I hope to God the people that you're listening to are people that are advancing a movement and not trying to get you to worry about building the party. Can you count, suckas? We got 12 years. I'm going to show you all a slideshow. And this is going to let you all know, this is a bunch of pictures that we've taken at Real Progressives over the years. And I'd like to have music to it, but I'm just going to do it with a little bit of talk in the background instead. And these are some friends, many of people you'll have already known. But I want you to see and remember what it was like back when people weren't sitting there hiding off in a corner, pretending like their little turf mattered. Okay, here we go. Folks, that's the deal. We all were once united in fighting for something. I see there's some people in the audience apparently that are that have got a different opinion. I expect no less. There's always somebody that's trying to poke holes in the way of somebody actually doing something. It's a style thing that I don't subscribe to. But I'm hoping people can lay down their Fonzie routine and start being more of the team and start trying to figure out how we can work together. Because I've got like next to no patience. You know, and honestly, I look at this and I'm going to put this up here. This is a Kelton tweet. If you're a progressive and you're fixated on raising taxes to pay for everything, you're embracing a fundamentally neoliberal Thatcher-like approach to public finance. And you say you want to do something, here we go. It's difficult, if not impossible, to go for the jugular when you share the basic premise that deficits are bad. And anybody that doesn't stand for modern monetary theory couldn't possibly be uniting behind truth. You know what I'm saying? If you in any way, shape, or form push back against MMT, you know that you're not uniting in truth. So that's a very important point. I'm glad Randy brought that up. Randy, way to stand up for MMT. I want to live. I've got kids. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you like somebody else's kids. Maybe you've got grandkids. Maybe you're just a human being that doesn't want to see the world suck. The time to act is now. It was yesterday. It was years ago. One of the guys that was in this reel, his name is Dan Kinch. And Dan Kinch is from New York City, and he does these plays, does these reenactments, sort of like a sketches on the environment. And he basically told me flat out, he goes, man, we're playing on borrowed time. He goes, it's pretty much too late. Now, that's certainly one view of this. But there's another view, and that is that it ain't over till the fat lady sings. If we fight, no matter what, we have a shot. In fact, I've talked to other people that are not quite as doomsday-ish, that feel like there are other things that we can do to help facilitate this. We are going to have problems no matter what. We've waited too long. But there are things we can do to make it better, to mitigate it. So for the people that want to just sit there and, sideline everybody with their negativity and so forth, it's not even about you're so right, you're right. Yeah, it's just basically destroying people with your rightness, You're not helping anyone. Your arm is breaking because you're patting yourself on the back, but in reality, you're not helping a soul. You're just self-congratulatory. We've got too many of those people. You're celebrating your 10 foot of turf, like Cyrus said. We need people uniting, even if it's just to gather bodies at the end. And if you want to just peddle doom, do it somewhere else. Do it somewhere else. We got to find a way to win. And if we can't, let's go down trying. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives, and I hope you learn how to count. Have a good day, everybody. I'm out.